Facebook is live?
Yep.
All right.
It's live. Good job.
I've been live too. You got audio coming out everywhere. Okay. I think we are up on all the platforms.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the 034 Motorsport live chat. It's been
A hot minute.
2 weeks since our last one, but we're back. It's a new year, and we're here to answer all your hot burning questions about all things 034.
And Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, absolutely. We had a great year last year, so thanks for the support. Everyone who bought from us and hopefully enjoying our parts, the new driving experience of their vehicle. So thank you. We have a lot of fun, exciting stuff planned for 2024. We did a lot of cool stuff last year. We're just going to keep building the steam to become the greatest tuning company the world has ever known. I think we might actually be in the Volkswagen Audi.
We're trying.
Yeah, I think we're right there. Anyways, thanks again for the support. Type your questions into the browser of your choice. We're here to answer product questions, any questions about your experience with us. If you're unhappy, if you're happy, let us know. We're not, there's some ETA questions already coming in, update questions. We will answer those as we feel appropriate, but we're doing less of those lately. So please don't think this is a pre-recorded session just because we didn't answer your update question.
I forgot all about pre-recording last week.
Which apparently is something we would do. But no, these are not pre-recorded. These are live. I can say fuck whenever I want.
Oh, we would have definitely beeped that out.
No, we would have. Of course, I could just say fuck to, in a pre-recorded thing to make it seem like it's live.
But fuck, never know.
All right, we got questions coming in. I'm Javad, by the way. This is Nate. If you didn't know, we're here.
That's me.
All right, it says you guys made a front main seal, but not the rear main seal. Yes, very, very true. The rear main seal on the B8 is part of this huge cover.
Yeah, that's that huge, foot and a half diameter cover.
It's a substantial assembly, and we looked into making it. It'd be very expensive. We may have a way to change the seal out and just upgrade the seal without changing the housing. We'll let you know if anything like that. The front main seal, though, does fail, does have issues, and it's right behind the crank pulley on the B8s. This is a great while you're in there mod. When you're doing your pulley, just change the rear main seal for future insurance. It may already be leaking, but instead of replacing the factory line, which are more prone to leaking, replace it with pretty much a lifetime front main seal. And it's a really nice, sexy piece of billet. Who doesn't love that? Happy New Year. Happy New Year. B9.5 S4, is there a best practice for how often I should re-grease my 034 sway bars, either time or mileage? Thank you for the Zerk fittings, by the way. You're welcome. We recommend certainly doing it if you hear any squeaking. But if you want to just be safe, I'd say every time you change your oil, hit the Zerks at that time, which is pretty quick. If you live in wet climates with rain, the water gets into the bushings and
all the road debris.
Yes, as we learned in high school chemistry, that water is the universal solvent. So water gets in there, and even though the Teflon grease is very hydrophobic and resistant to water, it does eventually combine with the water, and the water goes to other places, and so does the grease. So in the wintertime, you may want to do it more often. In my Q7 that I daily drive, I'd say I probably grease them every 5,000 to 10,000 miles of driving. And I do notice in the winter I have to do it more often, especially after a big rainstorm or something. Actually, I need to do it now because when I go over the speed bumps, I hear that little creak. So you don't want to over grease it, and then the grease does eventually start squeezing out a little bit. But there's really no big issue over greasing other than the grease will squeeze out the sides if you put too much. Hello from Spain. Happy New Year. Well, hello. You guys are half a day ahead of us into the new year, so you'll have to let us know how it's going. Anything new with the MercRacing blower you can share?
Yeah, we did a bunch of work. Well, I'm sorry. I'm a week off here. I had a week gap from being in the office here. But yeah, we got the B9.5 stuff tested and the calibrations done on that. Everything went well. So different ECUs. So we had to get test vehicle set up on the dyno and all that done. So that's done. So yeah, I mean we're doing really well with those files. We've got kind of one last test session this weekend at Laguna Seca. We're doing for both that and the new DSG software we're wrapping up as well. So yes, it is very much in active and end stage development. So I know everybody wants it done yesterday, kind of thing, but we do our best to make sure we test the crap out of all of these for all of the vehicle applications. So yeah, it'll be on track this weekend along with our new DSG software as well.
Yeah, so exciting stuff coming for that, and I think we're going to try to get something released sooner than later.
Yes.
Because I understand they're shipping superchargers.
Yeah, they are, and there were some delays. We were going to have some field V8.5 vehicles, but they had life things happen to them, and the cars weren't ready in time, so we ended up taking the charger off of our B8 that we have here and putting it on an 8.5 that also we got access to use here, so just to keep things moving along.
Yeah. Happy New Year, Javad. Happy New Year. When are you going to do a supercharger turbocharger hybrid system for the C4 S4? Just kidding. Is that Scott Lampkin? That sounds like something he would do.
Jeez.
Thank you for the just kidding. If you were serious, I was going to have to explain why that would be a terrible idea financially.
Yeah. Thankfully, turbochargers have come so far. So you can get a
cool.
Very potent setup that's going to have a broader power band than even the factory. Tiny little turbos.
Yeah, obviously. Darren and I go way back. You probably remember Darren from the Quattro list days.
Yep.
Into the late 90s. We used to send each other emails back and forth.
Back in the email era.
Cars, way before forums. 2017 S3. I have an EQT Vortex XL MPI E85. Can I run your TCU tune with that setup? I had your stage 2 tune previously.
It's going to depend on what the ECU is doing and reporting for torque, but chances are very good it'll work totally fine. I don't think there's been an issue. I know a lot of people have run our TCU stuff with the files that I know of, at least on the market.
Yeah, worst case, we have a 30-day money back guarantee.
Yeah, no, it should be totally
definitely a great one. How much camber do you get normally adding the aluminum MQB control arms?
That's all on our website.
All the numbers are there. I'm trying to remember.
We've got so many camber.
An additional 1.2 degrees.
Because it's
you can slide the ball joints. I think generally up to about a degree, maybe a little bit more depending on the car. So quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that raining?
I hope not. I had enough rain.
This is later today, unfortunately.
No. According to my watch, it's sunny outside, but it does not look sunny.
It's not sunny.
ETA on PCV system fix.
I'm assuming this is B9.5.
Yeah. It's coming. It's in manufacturing now. It's taken much longer than we wanted, but we've taken the time to get it perfect, and so that once we release it, it's the exact solution that everyone needs. So stay tuned. It's on its way. It's in our engineering department. It's like top nuclear priority.
Everybody needs it.
Just bought your guys' intake for my B9.5 RS5 and sounds awesome. I'm glad you like it.
It's awesome too. It's not just
yes. I just went stage 1 E85 and I'm loving it so far. Thank you. Just waiting to see what's going to happen about the inlet I ordered. So far, very happy with the tune. Thank you for the hard work on the tune. You bet. I'm guessing this is B9.
Yeah.
Are we on the super duper inlets? Yeah. If you, I'm glad you're happy with the tune. The inlet is coming. If it hasn't shipped yet, you can send an email to contact@034 Motorsport and ask for an ETA. I didn't know that we weren't shipping. We were out of those, but we had a very,
if that's what we're talking about,
very big Black Friday and just a big holidays in general. So we've been running out of stock on some things just due to the sheer volume. Are you guys working on any Q7 tunes for the ECU and TCU? Yes, we are. Also related to CREC, we're also working on that.
Oh yeah, there was someone else asked CREC updates, A6, A7. They want advanced launch, E85 test pipe files. We actually have procured a a development vehicle for that purpose. So yes, there will be lots of updates coming very soon for that. Well, soon.
Someone's asking B9 RS5 support for pure turbos or just the TTE 720s. We have opted not to support anything other than the 720s right now. The pure turbos aren't any better than the 720s, and we already put all the development work into the 720s. So if you're thinking about turbo option, we strongly recommend the 720s. We generally have them in stock here on the shelf. Full, flushed out, world record setting tuning package. The market's just not very big, and so for us to put the effort into multiple turbos for such small volume, it makes it infeasible. We can do it with the B9 S4 simply because there's so many more cars and so much more market there. But the B9 RS5 then is a fraction of the size of the S4 market. So for now, the 720 is what we're supporting. Eventually, we will have a bigger, more powerful turbo option that we will support. Will probably be a TTE, but it could be a pure turbo. If there is something bigger and more compelling out there, then we'd make the effort to do that. So hopefully you haven't gone out and bought the Pures. We do support the Pure 750 and the S4, so it's nothing against pure turbos. It's
not at all.
Literally just related to the size of the market being a smaller, more boutique, sized market. We just can't put the development effort into all these different options just to sell a few of each. It's just not worth it, or it's not. I know it'd feel worth it to people who bought it, but financially, it's detrimental.
It's not feasible.
It doesn't help us to do things that people want that cause us to lose money. That ultimately is why companies go out of business. And plus, we can do one thing really, really well. That's the best option for customers as well. Yep. Is the B9 RS5 034 high pressure fuel pump supposed to make low tapping sounds when accelerating? Been doing it for weeks without any change to the sound. It's pretty quiet.
I mean, you will hear some, mechanical noise from the pumps and the injectors. I'm not sure, maybe a little hypersensitive, but it shouldn't be really much louder than it was.
I haven't really heard this feedback a lot, so I don't know.
I mean,
they definitely make noise.
It's maybe a tiny bit louder, but it should be basically the same noise you were getting stock.
And the FSI injectors are really noisy.
The whole injection system
and the valve train.
It makes a lot of noise, but they have all kinds of sound deadening over it. I'll call that.
Not on the B9.5. Interestingly enough, they got rid of all the foam.
Okay.
Maybe because it catches on fire. Would purchasing the Stage 1 acceleration package be the best way to get started for tuning my S4 B8? I think so.
Get you a long way.
It's a very good option to get started. Those packages are also designed to be upgradable. Of course, updating your ECU tuning is easy. You just pay the difference for the more expensive option. And generally, we offer pulleys and support. Was that for B8? Yeah. Pulleys and everything you need. So, but yeah, if you want to jump in, the packages are lightly discounted, so you're going to get a better price. and it's a great way to get started. That's why we do it. Just so you kind of one-stop shop, everything you need for stage one in one package. You don't have to like go around the website figuring out what you need. Does having a ghost immobilizer affect when you flash files?
The ghost immobilizer is a pretty broad term as far as I have seen. Anything that communicates on the diagnostic bus or interferes, intercepts, shuts off, disables, or just monkeys with any of the communication systems in the car can certainly have an effect when flashing. We run into this, and we see this a lot when customers have built-in like alarm systems and remote starts and gauges and all these other things that will just sit there and seemingly innocuously just talk to the ECU every minute or second or every 5 or 10 minutes, thinking it's an okay thing to do. But when you're in the middle of a flash and then it's sitting there trying to jabber away at the ECU because it's not clever enough to see that something else is already talking to it, it can definitely cause problems. That's, I'd say, the number one issue by far we see with people flashing is having these other devices that are trying to talk to the ECU at the same time and not doing it in a very clean way.
Yeah. Any thoughts on creating coilovers? We discuss this pretty often. The issue is we can develop a spring that's optimized to use with the factory damper and combined with inserts and sway bars and other suspension components create incredibly good handling cars that are very controllable, that have a good balance between understeer and oversteer, that have a lot of grip and are very fast. Like that can lap a track or carve a canyon as fast as any car with coilovers. And the issue with coilovers is the adjustability seems like a nice to have, but actually optimizing and adjusting a coilover yourself with limited tools and experience and knowledge is very difficult. So usually you'll end up with too many settings and too many adjustments to the point where a coilover setup may not ride or handle as good as it appropriately designed and optimized static spring setup. Then you have the fact that the spring setup is like 1/10 the price of the coilovers. You're talking about some $300 springs versus $3,000 coilover. So when we've looked into it, it's just really hard to think like that we would come to the market and be like, hey guys, you can have pretty much what our static springs do for $300 for $3,000. Who wants to buy some?
Yeah, and the market to go much more drastic than that, where you'd get into a much more aggressive or adjustable shock and stiffer spring rates is very slim.
The tiny market
to try and do something better than what's out there already at basically a racing level.
And then you're talking about a $5,000 to $10,000 suspension kit that could take 2 or 3 days at the track to set up properly.
Yeah, and like Joe said, with all the tooling needed, you need to corner balance it, you need to do proper setup and measurements.
Admittedly, the one advantage of coilovers is height adjustability. So, and something that
for sure
that we would consider would be a non-adjustable damper shock strut with an optimized adjustable spring setup so that customers could adjust the height themselves. It's still going to be like $2,000+ for that. And so then it's just like, is it worth paying $1,500 just to be able to like change the height a little?
And it gets tricky too. It's not just height, because when you go to coilovers, you've got a much we have to work within the entire shock travel, and getting a spring set up in that diameter that'll deal with that shock range and won't coil bind and won't will work in all these different heights and situations it's no small feat to that.
We could develop like our static spring with an adjustable
with a base,
which is something that we would do, but it's not going to be cheap. So we sell a lot of springs, and
seems like
customers are very happy with them. So I would say, if you're interested in doing a suspension on your vehicle, check out our Diamond Plus springs. You're looking at, $300 to $350 at the most, plus labor to install, which usually isn't too bad. And, combine it with our sway bars and some of our other suspension mods, you're going to be blown away at how good the car handles. You could pretty much be all in to those mods for the price of like a coilover from the tire rack. I'm talking about labor and stuff included. Oh, thank you, Steph. stuff.
Just about to post that on.
Yeah, I don't know if I look younger, but I think I look different and in some cases better. But we'll see. It's nice being a man, you know, you get more distinguished, supposedly.
That's what they tell us,
right? What is Kli-Max?
Speaking of,
well, that is our new TCU update, yet to be released.
Yeah, it's the upcoming DL501 work. It's a conglomeration of things that are going to bring kind of hopefully a whole new experience to this this transmission, and kind of fixes a lot of the nuances and a lot of the limitations that have been in place for years on the DL501. There's just some, you know, it's problems we run into on a lot of these platforms where you get to a point where the calibration can take you so far, and then you've got to figure out the next level of hurdles inside the ECU that are hanging up. You know, those last little details you want to fix. So, yeah, it's a lot of that. It's kind of a revamp of it. And I think it's going to be pretty surprising to people how they think their transmission shifts fast and crisp now. Wait till you see what it's going to do with these new files come out. And you know, all this AMAX stuff we're reworking. That's just a part of it. There's quite a lot coming down the pipeline for the DL501 calibrations. So that's all the B8.5 guys. And actually, I had a bunch of people asking about the 4-liter DL501 stuff too, because they suffer from all the same problems. So
there you go.
yeah, we don't have those on the roadmap yet, but it would be the software fixes we have in place would work on it.
And I mean, it's really not called AMAX anymore. It's called Kli-Max.
Sorry.
Yeah, have to work on name.
Yep.
But the shift is the Kli-Max.
And then and
it's pretty exciting.
There's some other ECU side stuff that's coming as well for the advanced launch to give some more features there that I've had in place for a while. It just hasn't rolled out, where you can select the launch mode, so you can do a soft launch, ignition cut launch, regardless of what drive select mode you're in.
Yeah,
just some more features coming down the road.
Someone says there was some comment about squirting in Kli-Max.
Oh,
yeah.
I can do that.
Oh,
hopefully nothing squirt. I don't know. I mean, depends on your situation.
It may not squirt, but it could squat.
There'll be some squatting.
Yeah, which can lead to
some smoking potentially.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Smoking tires,
Mm-hmm.
smoking rubber. That's never good. Any news on a tune to support the upgraded pistons? Nothing new other than what's been said in the past. That is something we will do and support. I think that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was to say, we've had a lot of you know, holiday time, family time, and stuff between that and now. So,
are you going to continue having updates on the TT710 files and not discontinue them from the website like IE? Yeah, we have no plans to stop supporting the 710.
No, we've talked about revising it further, and no plans.
Yeah, we will be doing a future update on it, and for the time being, it's a great option. We still during Black Friday, we sold a bunch of 710s. It's been proven to be a very reliable stage 3 option. It's definitely not as much power as the 750 or the 810. But it's still a lot of power, and it's cheaper. Like I said, it's reliable, so we'll continue to support it. Absolutely.
Somebody's asking when we can expect to see the Kli-Max files to be flashable. Again, like I mentioned, I don't know if you caught the beginning of this. We want to do some more, endurance or long-term testing. We're going to have it at the track this weekend, and then there's some more software work we're doing in the background to be able to patch and set these files up in a more automated way, because it's a lot of files to set up. So. I don't have a roadmap yet. Again, it depends how the testing goes, but we are actively working on it a lot right now.
Question about B9.5 TCUs, locked TCUs. And they're saying, is it going to be months or years? There's no way to tell.
It's a really tricky question to answer. It's not a matter of like, oh, we just need to put X amount of hours in and we'll get there and we can just deal with that later. It's you don't know until it's solved problem, unfortunately. So no, we can't give an estimate on it at this time.
Yeah.
we want it as much as you do.
Mhm.
A lot more, actually.
The good news is there's good workarounds that really
Yep.
don't impact the performance of the car too much.
Right. Yeah, you can still make all the power.
First off, I want to say I really love to use your software. Great to hear. I'm curious about you guys have any plan to update your 3.0 supercharged engine software as other brands getting faster?
I think we've talked. We're a lot of updates coming, all related to, all of the stuff we just talked about. So
Yeah.
there's a ton of stuff coming.
Yeah, there's definitely updates, and we're always making improvements, and we do listen to customer feedback. So, I mean, we've updated that file tremendously over the last 6-7 years.
Yep.
So we have a proven track record of updating that file longer than these competitors have even been around, and we will continue to. Someone's asking about Q7 engine and trans tunes. I think we just talked about that. We will release something when we have it. I have a car specifically for that purpose. Ethanol tuning for IS20. HPFP.
Which
Gen
one?
3.
The
Something.
MQB like GTI stuff. Yep, that is all coming. We have that. The MQB calibrations are also on our roadmap for lots of activity in the very near future. So yes, you'll see more and more of that stuff coming.
Can the B9 S4 run on a stage 2 91 file, but I actually fill 93, 94 in the tank? Any benefits to doing this? Yes, absolutely. You can always run higher octane. You just cannot ever run lower octane than the tune.
Yeah, as long as you're running gasoline,
yes,
and it's equivalent, lambda.
Yeah, you can't just change fuel types.
Right. Yes, you can always go up in octane from your base octane. You can think of the octane for the tune as the base level of octane you have to run.
There is some benefit. It may not be worth it, but when the ECU is, say, optimized for 91 and you run 93, then those little timing corrections that happen when the 91 is in the tank can all but disappear on the 93, just because there's so much more headroom now built in to the timing map. And so that better timing is going to make the car feel like slightly faster, like maybe it does when it's in cool weather.
Yeah,
like on a nice cool night.
Usually you can feel a little bit of smoothness.
Yeah. I know, like, just one example, but I've done this many times. I used to have a 996 turbo with 91 octane tuning in it, and at the track I'd mix like 50-50, 100 octane, and the car just went like, like a sexually assaulted ape. Just with that, it was noticeably faster.
Yeah, and when you're on the edge of conditions too, like at the track, and you've got a lot more heat, and a lot more extended load, and a lot more, you're giving yourself more margin, for everything to be operating as intended, especially as fuel qualities and conditions and all that change.
So yeah, but you have to weigh
whether
if 93 is a buck more a gallon and you can't really tell the difference, then just run it.
Yeah,
but I think you will feel a difference.
Yeah, I don't. There's no real reason to. I will say too, like on turbo motors and some of these motors, running a lower octane than you have available to you isn't necessarily better either. Like if you need to run 91 because you have to go back and forth, that's one thing. But if you're in an area where you run 93 all the time, you will have lower EGTs, lower thermal stresses when running a higher octane fuel on a turbocharged motor. So there's also that. So,
yeah.
Goes both ways.
Higher octane is always a good thing.
Yes.
Some of these are up. There's a lot of update questions sneaking in.
Yeah, we've gone through a couple.
Someone's asking about hybrid turbo tuning for the MQB E85 Gen 3. Yes, like Nate just said, that is on our roadmap for this year. We have Calibrator working on that application full time for the near future. So you'll see. I know we talked about doing it last year. It didn't quite happen, but you'll see a lot of MQB Gen 3 updates coming out this year. And I think sooner than later. On the site, stage 2 for the Audi A38 V2016 only has a 91 octane option, producing the same horsepower as stage 193 octane. Will there be a 93 octane stage 2?
I believe there is. It may not be on the site listed, though. Again, all of these numbers are going to be updated pretty soon.
Yeah.
We're
But,
going through and revamping all that. But yes, there is a stage 2.
You can contact tuning at 034motorsport.com to inquire about that.
We'll confirm your exact software.
What is better for daily driving, single upper pulley or dual pulley setup A6 C7?
It's all about the pulley ratio.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever that ratio, the mathematical, take the big pulley divided by the smaller pulley. That's going to be your pulley ratio.
But you're not going to notice any difference in daily driving.
No,
with either. It's whatever has a ratio that makes more power will feel faster.
If your stock lower pulley is falling apart, you'll notice that daily driving. If that comes apart, you need a lower pulley. So that's a reason for the lower pulley.
Someone's asking about B9 injector testing. It's going very well.
Mm-hmm. That's another. We're doing some more track testing again on that this weekend.
Does the Mark 6 Golf R have stage 2 plus, have launch or pop tune?
6 Golf R. Yes to all. Well, the manuals do not have launch control. The DSG stuff, yes. That does have crackle overrun on the 2 plus files as well. So, yep.
Is there any advantages between the P34 and the S34 intake for the B9? Not sure which route to go. Yeah, there's some trade-offs. So both are excellent performing. The P34 is a closed intake box. It's not going to be quite as loud. It will be much louder than stock. It has kind of an OEM look when you open the hood. It's a molded plastic intake, similar to the factory construction style. The S34 is once the hood opens, you'll see it's completely open. When the hood shuts, the hood forms, another side to the air box. But the S34, I think the big benefit there is more upgrade friendly, more upgrade paths. There's kind of virtually no limit to the power and performance that the S34 will make. The P34 is going to be more limited, although still has tremendously high performance threshold. And then there's just kind of how it looks and stuff like that. If you have any more follow-ups, let us know. But they're both great options. It's just one of them is going to appeal to you more, and one of them has more upgrade options in the future. Moving on from hybrid turbos, what big turbo options should we expect for the B9 3.0 T platform? What hurdles do you need to overcome to make big turbo happen, and what power figures are expected? I don't think we can talk as specifically as you'd like in that question. I think the reality is hybrids should get us into the 1,000 horsepower range or drop-in hybrid style turbos. The problem with full frame stuff is, while it's nice to be able to pick up a G series turbo or a Zona whatever out of the catalog, you have to have all these custom manifolds, custom intake systems, custom downpipe adapters. And so the cost of entry to full frame is really high and the complexity skyrockets. You need oil and water lines and adapters and all this stuff. With a hybrid turbo, the idea is it drops right into the factory spot. Currently, the restriction on hybrid turbos is the factory housings. And so, once we can replace the factory housings with dimensionally similar higher flow housings, then there's really no reason we can't have a 1,200 horsepower drop-in turbo that's still considered a hybrid. I think there will be smaller tuners that start doing full frame stuff. Like there's one guy out there, Super Mario Brothers, who will probably go that route because he can have a fabricator
it's a much more like a boutique solution.
Yeah, but it's not a production solution. It's not this kind of reliable long-term solution that we aspire to do. So we don't currently have any plans to do full frame, like how you've seen it in other applications. We think that we can continue to push hybrid stuff well into the 1,000 horsepower range. So right now, the bigger issue is getting motors upgraded with rods and pistons, and that'll really move the power number. Even with 810, there's more power.
I don't know. Yeah, it's not necessarily hybrid either. It could be drop-in stuff versus using just the stock housings kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Oh, by the way, we've set our Winterfest date for February 10th. It's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's Saturday. I will be making a huge pot of hot roast chili like I always do. We will have a car show. We will have raffles. We will raffle off thousands of dollars. All your friends will be here. And
you should be too.
Yeah, so definitely look on our Facebook page for more information under our events. But would love to have everyone out. It's usually packs out our entire industrial complex parking lot. I think we usually have like 500 plus cars. So it's a good time. Definitely worth coming out. February 10th.
There's a follow-up at the top.
Do you think 1,000 horsepower crank is possible with a TT810? I think that's pushing it.
No, it's the turbo on the top end's pretty much spent with the tunes we have now. There's some mid-range left. It's not a ton. The turbo, it's a really good size turbo to kind of maximize the stock hardware we're at right now.
Yeah, I think the points about the 810 in the past have been that the compressor wheel and turbine wheel are capable of more flow.
Oh, yeah.
It's the factory housings. So it's possible that the 810 in different housings can make 1,000 horsepower. But with the housings that are there, which are 350 horsepower housings, very, very free-flowing 350 horsepower housings, which is what the factory intended. But we've pushed those housings to their limits. This is just all disguised update questions.
Someone's asking about this guy here. So,
any plans to offer a tune for the 2022 VW Arteon?
We actually have done a handful of those. I would suggest emailing into tuning at 034motorsport.com because it's the same as Golf R and S3 stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, hit us up. We don't have that application specifically set up on our website for it, but certainly reach out to tuning at. We'll let you know if we can get you set up.
Is that the SUV thing?
It's the
no, it's crossover thing, isn't it? No, the Arteon is the more luxury car.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the.
It's the sedan.
I'm thinking of the.
Yeah.
And it has a Golf R auto in it. I did not know about that. That's cool.
It's not really.
It's
not nearly as much of a tune.
Yeah. No, all drive.
It's all
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Can you get one?
It's ugly.
Oh, don't be like that.
It's
It's very much like the CC predecessor.
It's a CC.
It's like a bigger S3 kind of.
Kind of.
Is it MQB?
Yeah,
It is.
It's
got
all
like a
been done for-
Marquez GTI dash and wheel, but it has like an S3 ISC screen. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I've heard of Arteon, but I truly don't know much about it.
That's how often we see it.
Expensive.
Yeah.
They are?
Yeah, the nice ones are like 50 plus. Yeah.
Would you recommend changing to your lowering springs as I'm running H&R Springs? It's hard to say. I don't know what application you're running. I would certainly recommend our springs over H&Rs if you already have H&Rs.
I can't think of a situation where we've had one that's been even equivalent.
In general, our experience, my experience with H&R and IBOC is that I don't think they put in the efforts to make sure that those springs are optimized for the factory dampers. And so typically you get a ride that's either over dampened or under dampened. Sometimes they're too low. In some cases, you install those springs and it's outright dangerous. The car is dangerous to drive. in my experience a few times. I'm not saying all H&R Springs are dangerous, but my point is there are opportunities to upgrade and to be better than what you're currently experiencing. I would temper that with, if you're perfectly happy with what you have right now and you're left not wanting anything, then stay happy and be cool. Our springs are designed to perform the best on the market. I personally drive every car with every spring and give feedback on it. Our whole engineering team, our marketing team, we're all enthusiasts. We all drive these cars and give feedback. So a lot of thought and energy goes into how these springs ride, handle, and how they look from a visual standpoint. And so we're balancing all those factors. Sometimes I think the bigger companies, a new model comes out and they just kind of push through these kind of generic spring designs with X% stiffness and X% drop. And the amount of thought and engineering and curation of the ride quality and height isn't always there.
Yeah, somebody actually just followed up with my H&R Springs made my SQ5 legitimately dangerous to drive. It was undrivable.
That's what I'm talking about.
Balanced it would, and we've seen that same behavior on a handful of cars that have come in with H&Rs and or I think, was it H&Rs we put on your 996?
Yeah,
it was
dangerous.
atrocious.
It was dangerous. It ruined.
It was really low, but it was same thing. It would spring stack, it would bounce, it was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up going to a high quality coilover setup just so I could have more control.
Yeah.
But that, I think my 996 experience was the thing that convinced me, like, we need to start going.
It was the catalyst for us to get like real springs put together. For
and we still do. We get customers coming to our service department who aren't happy with the way their car rides. It's too low. It's dangerous to drive or bouncy, or suspension's bottoming out. So thankfully we don't do springs for like 70 or 80 different brands. We do springs for Volkswagen and Audi, and we've done some for BMW. So we're very focused. We have probably a bigger engineering effort here at 034 just doing these limited models of springs than these other companies do.
Right.
So we are hyper focused on making the best Volkswagen Audi springs possible. So that's the benefit when you come to a specialist like us. We're 100% specialized on these applications. Do we get emails, etc., if there's an update for our tunes? Yes.
We are trying to be, much more proactive about that. If we have it's usually going to be a feature change or a major, platform revision we're pushing. In which case, yes, we will do our best to get everybody emailed that has flashed that file before. Sometimes it can be tricky if you flash from a dealer and they maybe haven't entered your email address or something.
I think the dealer is a blind spot, but in general,
it can be. They ideally would be entering all your information, so we'd have your contact info.
As long as Nate said, as long as the dealer enters your email at the time they flash your car, then you will get an update. Yeah. But also keep in touch with our social medias. We announce these updates.
Yes.
Like that as well. We generally talk about them here.
Yeah, we have mailing lists you can subscribe to. So I mean, we try to make that those formal announcements far and wide for those.
I have some clunking noises in my B9 S4, thinking it's control arms. Thoughts? Hard to diagnose your car through the live chat. However, in general, when Audis start getting clunking noises in the front, control arms should be at the top of the list to check. We do offer control arms now because these do fail. In fact, these are our new density line upper arms for the B9 sedans like the S4, A4. These are long-lasting, long-life products with upgraded, stiffer inner bushings, very high-quality ball joints, and these are the kind of things that clunk. In general, if you go into your car and you look at these bushings, you'll start to see, in most cases, cracks, but you can see that the center sleeve can just be torn out from the outside sleeve, and you'll just see like munched up rubber.
Yeah, some surface cracking is normal on a rubber, but it goes way beyond that on these arms when they start to go.
Nate's right. Surface cracking isn't necessarily a reason to run out and change them, but they will tear completely. And so you want to make sure that the rubber in these bushings is integral and hasn't separated. Once it separates, or if you get big gaps in there, then that's when the clunking sounds. In fact, my Q7, which is 4 years old, I just had to replace all the lower arms. Clunking really bad. So yeah, but we're seeing these fail in B9s in our service departments as well as through customers. And another good point is the SQ5s with air suspension, due to the big range, it really torsions up the center sleeve, and it will eventually, stress on the bushing eventually will tear.
I mean, the ideal situations is you're supposed to be torqued at ride height. If you have a ride height that's changing, 4 inches, and you're in each different mode for any period of time, it can wreak havoc on a fixed rubber bushing. And we're not going to be able to get to all our questions, guys. Just
we have a lot of questions. Let's just find some of the good ones. Good morning from Australia. I love my 034 springs and my B9 S4. Perfect for my ADS shocks. Great to hear. Thank you. That's the kind of feedback we love to hear. Do you expect significant power performance gain on stage 3 RS5 with new turbo inlet?
We're testing that.
Yeah, we'll let you know. I wouldn't say it's going to be significant.
No, not likely, but more efficient for sure.
It is crazy how much the factory inlet makes with the step there at the turbo.
Yeah,
but I think it'll be a good mod. We'll let you know the power improvements as we see it.
Right, and it's also this is a torque requested ECU. So what will initially be happening is it's going to be a much more efficient path to that power. So lower air temps, with any other kind of intake improvement, is going to be seen through efficiency versus outright power on the line.
Are both 91 and 93 stage 1 tunes for Mark 7 Golf R carb legal?
So if anybody working for carb would give me a solid answer to this, it'd be great, because I cannot get one. But currently everything is 91 octane because that is the California available gas, and that's the only fuel they have to test in the lab.
Right.
And I have asked them this question. I was like, hey, what about 93, 100? We can provide these valves. You can buy them at the pump. They're street legal here in California. And every time I ask that, I get a blank stare and saying, well, we don't have that in our lab. And I go, okay, well.
Yeah.
So right now, everything to be, check all the dots for carb is all 91 octane, because that's what's available for their lab testing and is road required.
Yes.
Or whatever, production vehicle.
And that's from a legal standpoint. Now, practically speaking, putting 93 in the tank, change your emissions? No. Yeah,
and our stage 1 93 stuff, I mean, it's all of the emissions. It's identical for the other files, but they're not. They're not carb exempt. And again, they're not carb legal. They're carb exempt. So
yeah, but I wouldn't worry about it if you want to run 93 or you have access to 93 or 100, which you can get at the pumps, which I think you could. I've never heard of anyone getting in trouble for this, but if somehow you were questioned on this ever,
what octane is in
just
your
be
tank?
like, listen, tell the gas station they're selling it.
If it's being pumped next to a road for road going vehicles, it's legal. I would assume there's no other reason otherwise. It's not legal to run in the vehicle.
It's not technically carb exempt. Again, legally speaking or whatever, but practically speaking, it's
I've been meaning to look up too how Dodge gets around some of these, because they have the race mode and stuff. You have the special key. They have 104 octane maps in some of their cars. So whether that was actually carb exempt or if that's a track only mode.
I feel like they advertise it as track only.
I think it's track only.
Yeah. So. B9 reaching 50,000 kilometers or 31,000 miles on stage 3. Huh, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What are some services and maintenance to do to keep the car in good condition and everything running smooth? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is injectors. You want to...
they're a wear item on these vehicles.
Yeah. I would say you should probably get a second set at minimum. And I don't know, what do you recommend? I mean, I know in the old days, I used to have 2 sets of injectors, and I'd send one out for cleaning while I used the other one.
Right.
I mean, this was on EF5.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's guys running a very long time on a set of injectors, so I don't know that I've got a super good handle. I'd say 10 to 15K to
It can definitely do
definitely
logs
yeah.
every so often.
That's one of the big things is like most of the cars out there are running totally fine with no issues. If you feel something is off, contact us. Don't just keep smashing on it until it gets to be really off. We'll work with you to try and isolate, if it's a spark issue or a fueling issue or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, oil changes, you're definitely going to want to maybe be more proactive with those. 5K is pretty common on a stage 3 car, especially if you're running like an ethanol fuel, because you've got more fuel dilution on there.
Yeah, and then keep up with your oil changes.
Spark plugs, you want
to be on top of. Coil packs do wear. It's really hot environments in there, so. But yeah, I mean, just the main thing is just keep up with what's going on. If you ever get a check engine light, if you feel any hesitation or misfires,
if something doesn't feel right, find out the reason. Let's find out the reason why.
Don't do another pull just to see if it's okay, and then blow up your motor. Just be sensitive. You're pushing a lot of power and performance through that. But glad to hear that you've had such a positive experience so far. which again, as Nate said, is the norm, not the exception.
And we're being hyper focused on the if something's wrong. We have I'm always surprised as to how many support tickets we get. And it's like, well, it started misfiring, and then I went and did 3 or 4 more pulls to see, and it kept misfiring. So I did X, Y, or Z, and then did 3 more quarter-mile passes, and now it's really misfiring. It's like, you've really got to figure out what is the cause, and don't keep driving the issue further.
Yeah, that's like if you're sprinting and you feel a pull in your leg, you don't stop and then do another sprints to see if your legs hurt. Anyways, all right. What else? Any plans for the RS6 beyond the res delete downpipe and sway bars? We will be releasing turbo inlets at some point. We've been working on those. We also have a really nice drop-in air filter, a number of other products as well, inserts. Happy New Year's, guys. Just want you guys to know I installed the super duper intake for my B9.5 S5. Loved it. Great product.
Awesome.
Glad to hear you're happy. Got a lot of good feedback on that. Are you guys doing a tune for the 4.0 T and the C8 4M.5 platform soon?
We have talks of starting that up later this year.
Yeah. No, I think we'll have an SQ7 in-house before too long that we'll use for that. Between X34 and P34 cold air intake for a B9 RS5, what's the difference besides one being carbon fiber? I think hopefully you heard what we just talked about. Same exact kind of this is not exact. This is the X34 and the P34. So the X34 and the P34 are similar architecture. One is made out of carbon fiber, the other one is plastic. And the performance between the two is not going to be much different. They use the same air filter, and kind of the flow geometry and profile of the turbo inlet is similar to both. So it really comes down to whether you'd like to have carbon fiber in your engine compartments and you want to have a carbon fiber theme, or if you're okay with the plastic box. We did the B9 RS5 for more budget-minded customers who didn't want to spend as much on an intake, who still wanted to have good performance. We will be coming out with an S34 as well, so that's our open top style, and that will have a huge air filter with a silicone and a carbon fiber turbo inlet built into the intake. So you may want to wait to see what we come out with that too. What's the difference in power between the Stage 2 file versus Stage 2 Plus on a B9 S4?
They're on the website.
Yeah, all the power numbers and figures are there. We don't have them memorized.
That's going to depend on fuel, and because it's the only difference is on ethanol mixes.
On E85. The pump stuff's no different, but on E85 you'll see a big increase in mid-range power.
The mid-range power is going to get you guys bump.
Can an ECU tune be tracked after you flash the car back to stock?
After flashing back the car to stock.
Can an ECU tune be tracked?
The tune itself is gone, but
I mean, it could be tracked if you flash it back again. It's a confusing question.
yeah, again, this is going to come down to ECU specifics. We do try and reset or store flash counters and whatnot. So ideally, the ECU looks identical. After you flash back with our software.
Oh, they're talking about tracking it.
Yeah, can it be
not
like a yeah.
Oh, I was like,
I think I saw you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you can track a stock car. It's just much more sad. But
question makes sense.
yeah, we try and remove as many indicators and hints as we can, just to keep it the way we found it. But that we also don't offer any guarantees that it's not trackable because we can't. They're always implementing new and other ways of tracing things.
What's in the pipeline for B9 RS5? We have more tuning, more turbos, more upgrades. We have our S34 intake system, which includes a high flow turbo inlet. We have a really, really nice big brake kit coming, which we're calling
oh god, what's her name?
RS Plus.
RS Plus. Huh. So kind of a step up from my dynamic
Not
plus.
spicy. I was like, oh god, what have we done?
What could we have called it?
Stop means stop.
And then density line control arms we just released. So lots of fun stuff. And more
I think you also said more turbos. I think it was more injectors is what.
Injectors, and there will be turbo upgrades as well
eventually.
Yep. What else? We have 3 minutes. Pure 750 with stock injector files. Something on our list. We're just not sure how many people are actually going to use stock injector files. So trying to prioritize it with everything else. I'm in the process of replacing my bottom end with your bottom end package and titanium valve springs and retainers. Only thing I need now is titanium valves. Wink. 4M.5 Q7. Well, really cool build for a Q7. That should be really fun. I'd say you're good with the stock valves.
Yeah, I'm not an engine hardware guy, but in my limited experience, titanium valves generally are a maintenance issue in that there's so much, the material interface is so much harder between the valves and the valve seats. It's something you really need to consider and have a setup that is designed to handle titanium valves. But again, I'm not an engine hardware builder.
The good thing about titanium, other than being light, is it's very heat resistant.
Yeah, it's very thermally stable.
Yeah, so it's a good valve material for exhaust valves, or Inconol is usually what most companies do. But in the past, cars came with like big valve, big 2-valve combustion chambers, and some of these valves were like 2-3 inches in diameter. And they had big thick stem on them, and so if you're hot rodding a motor and you want it to rev up a little faster and flow better, then you could take like that 8 or 10 millimeter valve stem and you could neck it down to like 6 millimeters, right? And then you could change out the valve guides, and then you can also thin out the valve head, and you're by making the valve stem thinner and reprofiling the topside radius of the valve, you can substantially increase flow into the combustion chamber, especially like on a hot rod V8 motor with not a lot of power options. But for these motors, that's just not going to be very beneficial, and it's going to cost you a fortune because you're going to need, 32 valves. So for the time being, I think I would say just use the stock valves. That they're not problematic in any way. They've proven to be really good. You should design a better RSQ8 upgraded turbo inlets so the bolts into the turbo are held in by a grommet. Bolts into the turbo.
Let's see what they're talking about. I'm guessing the turbo inlets. It must be a nightmare to get the turbo inlets in there and the hardware in at the same time. I'm not sure what they're getting.
I know our turbo inlets are the holes are slotted and open on one side.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're asking.
Yeah. Someone's asking about expanding our brake rotor line to more BMW applications. That's definitely something we're considering. I think that's about everything we've got to just about.
I think somebody was asking if they can still trade in their flashing cables.
Yeah, so we have two options. If you've purchased a cable from us in the past and have proof of purchase, then shoot us an email to contact@034motorsport.com, and we will give you a discount quote for a brand new R4 dongle for $89 instead of $150. That program is ongoing. We have a second program where if you bought a cable used and you have no proof of purchase, if it was purchased from us, we have the proof of purchase in our system. Let's say you bought a cable off a buddy or something, then you can send the cable back to us and we will offer you a new cable for $89. We just need you to return it to us. Also email contact@034motorsport.com. But yes,
yeah, we're doing everything we can to help you get the updated cable as easily.
Someone saying, is mobile flashing available? Yes.
Yes, it is.
First off, congratulations for waking up from your coma. Yes, we released it months ago. It's doing great.
Yep. Android is iOS available.
So I think we have some live chats about it if you like, or maybe one.
Yeah, if you scroll through our live chat, you'll see the actual. There's a thumbnail that stands out just for the.
Maybe one of the guys can just send him the link.
Yep.
It's also all the information's on our website as well. If you go to the dongle page, the dongle product page, it's there as well. All right, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I think should be back next week.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as I know, it's all everything. I'm still in a blur from the holidays here.
Yeah. So cheers. Happy New Year's, guys. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year's.